The good news is that we've won. The bad news is we've actually still lost. So here's the story. Google just killed those sites that were kind of propping up the whole dead internet theory. It's that story that we covered recently about the fake review of Resi Requiem from a fake reviewer. And it all happened because Video Gamer, The Escapist, and Esports Insider were in fact a bunch of bots pumping out some capital C content until, well, the owners of all of this, ClickOut Media, got caught. And now their sites have been scrubbed from Google searches, which is huge punishment for management who thought they could game the rules of the internet. But there's just one little problem with all of this. It's kind of all Google's fault in the first place, and in the long run, I actually think we're in quite a bit of trouble. I'll begin with what ClickOut Media have just done, which is, I guess, click out of this whole thing. They seem to be a little bit afraid. Now remember, what they were doing is basically getting a bunch of bots to make a bunch of articles, but they were posting them under fake people with fake profile pictures, fake X accounts, that kind of thing. Now, the media attention around specifically fake reviewer Brian Marigold has obviously spooked them. And that's because there have been 0 new articles up in Video Gamer since the Resident Evil Requiem review went viral. And the cleanup job they're doing really is not subtle. They've actually pulled every mention of gambling and casinos from the site. And of course, if you were, well, reading this site back in the day, you may be a bit confused. Why are Video Gamer writing casino game articles? The answer is pretty obvious. ClickOut acquired the company and really just wanted that affiliate and advertising revenue. And if we stop by the profile of our favorite real man, Brian Marigold, we see that it has even got a line scrubbed. There was one calling him an experienced iGaming and sports betting analyst. That is no longer there. Now, the actual articles on betting and casino games are still there, but they've just been de-emphasized. And this isn't just in Video Gamer, it's across ClickOut Media's sites, which does include The Escapist and Esports Insider. And the reason for all of this is Google cut them off pretty hard. Are you Hackerman? Do you want to be Hackerman? Well, the good news is today's sponsor, Try Hack Me, lets you learn how to hack legally. You see, they are a hands-on cybersecurity training platform with over 6.5 million users, and it's genuinely cool how they do things. Now, obviously, we cover data breaches quite a lot on this channel. Insomniac, Rockstar, Snowflake. There's new breaches every week, and cybersecurity has nearly 5 million unfilled jobs worldwide. There literally aren't enough people who know how to defend the systems we all rely on. And Try Hack Me is how you can become one of them. You see, with them, you are hacking real virtual machines directly in your browser pretty much from minute one. There's no setup or expensive hardware or stuff. You can just go straight in and start learning. And it's gamified with a structured roadmap that takes you from 0 to job ready, over 1,100 rooms with new content being added weekly. And they offer professional certifications, by the way, ones that are entirely hands-on. As an example, their SAL1 was built with Accenture and Fortune 500 companies. And in a world where you want to stand out for other applicants, well, proof like that actually does matter. And the great thing is, you can literally get started for free right now. Loads of their rooms cost absolutely nothing. But Premium unlocks everything. All learning paths, faster machines, full cert prep. If you want to get started, just go to tryhackme.com/Bellular News and use code Bellular25 for 25% off the annual plan. You can check out the link down in the description. And if you become the epic hacker, do let me know, because I think that's pretty much one of the coolest jobs there is. So if you go and try to find Video Gamer, The Escapist, or Esports Insider on Google, good luck. That's because Google has actually de-indexed them. And that's why ClickOut are now trying to pivot away from all the BS that they had done. And basically, in this industry, if you're not on Google, you are effectively dead. Now, the sites still exist. You can go to them. Their archives haven't gone anywhere. They just don't show up in Google. Other search engines do still promote them, but let's be honest, no one watching this video is a happy and willing user of Bing. And this is the exact thing that Brian Marigold was concocted to prevent. That's because Brian Marigold was an attempt to fool Google systems, which do exist to discover and, to find low-value content so that stuff can be nuked out of searches. Of course, it looks for mass bot-generated content, so they thought they could just make a fake dude to sneak past it. That obviously failed. But the thing is, Google doesn't actually ban AI-generated content. It's rather that if you're using it to game their systems, then they will punish you. And while this is mostly about the written word, this kind of thing is actually rolled out across YouTube. Google just finally started asking audiences to identify low-quality AI videos so that they can be de-emphasized or basically stripped from the platform. Shorts, kids content, and just low-effort replications of existing content all fit this bill. And this follows killing off several channels behind the likes of, say, those, I gotta say they're hateful, fake movie trailers that could go surprisingly viral. But they recently went a step beyond that. You see, a November 2025 report from Capwing led to many of the biggest AI-only channels getting cut as well, and that's in spite of them having millions of subscribers. So quite clearly, Google does not want you to game their systems unless you're the spiffing Brit, and it's sort of a big old joke to have some fun. Back to the story though. ClickOut is a company being punished for gaming Google's systems with no plan to actually serve audiences anything good. Now, the good thing here is there's a bit of schadenfreude for us, right? We can enjoy that these are bad actors and that they have been punished by the system. But there is an underlying problem, and that is the system Google built keeps changing, and it keeps punishing anyone who tries to work within it. Back in 2023, Google released their AI overviews. Those are the summaries that now sit at the top of just about every search. And this fundamentally changed how the internet worked for millions of people. And here's what it did to RetroDodo. They are an independent retro game site. So yes, it's a niche interest, but it was good content. They had a stable business, enough to actually build a team of 4 people over several years, delivering human-written, authoritative information to their readers. That's fantastic, and it's the exact sort of content that Google says they support. But take a look at this graph. This graph shows what happened to the organic traffic via Google after the update. We see an 85% loss over 6 months. Now, RetroDodo did not change anything in their output. Just Google changed how people could access that output. The AI-powered search summary essentially meant that users did not have to click through onto their site. That stripped them of potential ad revenue, which is, you know, a little bit of a problem, because humans have got to get paid to do work, right? Now, it started to get worse because Google began prioritizing high-profile partners like Reddit, who pay for sponsored placement, over the independent outlets. And all of this stuff comes together to change how people use the internet. Those AI overviews alone, it doesn't matter how often they get things wrong, they are just reason enough. The fact that they exist and they're the default thing, that's enough for the vast majority of people to never click onto a site. And we've seen this sort of thing in YouTube as well. I mean, Google might kill off channels that are popular but make the place look untidy, right? They might do that stuff that I just talked about. But they'll also, at the same time, roll out loads of generative AI tools for users to make videos with. So on the one hand, they are trying to police the slop factory, but on the other hand, they're quite literally building the slop factory. And that's if they're not using machine learning to summarize videos, just like they've done with regular search, or using automated strikes to take down channels with no human review. You see, creators build up value. Google absorbs that value. But the process of Google absorbing that value may just kill the creators, and Google really does not seem to notice when those creators are gone. There's other things as well. I mean, if you go to YouTube on a desktop computer and you look at the homepage, you'll see 3 humongously scaled long-form videos and then a whole big horizontal shelf loaded up with shorts. So if you're a long-form creator, well, it certainly seems that Google is not interested, or at least less interested. Or it could be that one part of Google is interested, but another one wants to optimize the homepage for session time, and they've just found out that in a short-term basis, shorts are better for that. Let's not think about any long-term consequences in this analysis. Now, you could argue that all of this stuff is simply the death of inefficient, bloated organizations that pad out their posts so that they can get as many adverts on the page as is possible. And we've all seen websites like that. They blow. And it's easy to say, well, those sites should just play the game better. But the reason they're playing that game is kind of Google. Digital outlets require advertising revenue, and Google AdSense was, and still is, the fastest way, and sometimes least invasive way, to just go and do that. And the sites that did good work and wouldn't adopt, well, many of them died. Of course, some that tried to adopt died too. They couldn't make enough revenue, or the ads just made the experience unbearable. And many of those sites were sold, some to companies like ClickOut Media. That is how The Escapist, which I think most people would know as, say, the home of zero punctuation, the thing Yahtzee does. I mean, back in the day, obviously it's different now. That, gone. Gobbled up by ClickOut, along with a bunch of other sites like this, so that all the staff could be fired, and fake people like Brian Marigold can just be summoned into existence to replace them. That's obviously bad faith bullshit, and it's good that Google's systems did slap them down. But the kind of secret behind all of this is it all does come back to Google. The reason sites like Video Gamer had to be sold in the first place is because the internet economy was fundamentally altered by Google. The husks left behind, sites that couldn't survive Google's rapid changes. Seriously, most people do not know how SEO driven this industry has been. Well, they were picked up by venture capitalists and media groups, all trying to game that same system. And now Google has came in and killed some of them. So, you may be wondering, where does this leave our friends at ClickOut? Well, they're in a bit of a bind. Their only real revenue is coming from page ads or their gambling site commissions. Neither of those things are an option now, but they actively chose this scheme, so obviously none of us do, I would imagine, or should feel any sympathy for them. But ClickOut Media are not Video Gamer, they're not The Escapist, and they're not Esports Insider. Those sites were built on the legacy of the writers and video producers who made them what they were. Their archives are still a history of games and gaming. The sort of thing someone in 50 years' time could look at to understand, at that period of time, what was going on with games. The sort of thing that genuinely should continue existing. But now, that content is unreachable because of a parasitic management team who could not appreciate what they had. ClickOut being punished is funny. We should all have a good laugh about it. But now that they're invisible in search and there's no way to turn things around, well, they either sell them off or simply dump them. So all that history, all that work, all that knowledge, gone. We all lose out, and the internet that Google wants to scrape for information gets worse and worse as a result of their own actions and the systems that they have designed. While I go and ponder why they changed their company motto from "Don't be evil," how about you get started? Just go to tryhackme.com/Bellular News and use code Bellular25 for 25% off the annual plan. You can check out the link down in the description. And if you become the epic hacker, do let me know. Now, go and watch this video next, because it's about Krafton, and honestly, it's a spicy banger. It is a damn entertaining story. It's quite literally, CEO thinks, I want to get out of this huge payout. ChatGPT, how do I do this? And the whole thing backfiring on him humongously. Check it out here.